So it's been nearly a year since I created my last iOS home screen setup video. And so when my iPhone 13 Pro arrived last week, my first priority was to create a new custom home screen setup that would suit my current style and needs. But rather than making a fairly simple setup like the last video, I wanted to really level things up and create a home screen setup that pushed iOS to its absolute limits. And so I spent hours upon hours scouring the web and even creating my own assets to finally arrive at the setup you're seeing on screen right now. Super clean, super elegant, even if I do say so myself, but more importantly, it's way more seamless an experience compared to last year's setup. A couple of things to point out with this setup that might otherwise be glanced over is that one, we've got these cute little pastel icons that don't have that classic rounded rectangle background we're used to seeing on iOS home screen setups. Two, when I tap on any of these icons, notice how there's no silly pop-up notification telling us a shortcut was activated. And finally, did you notice it? Yep, the dock is completely invisible. And I'm gonna walk you through how to set up each of these components and more throughout this video. And if you thought last year's iOS 14 home screen setup video was complicated, well, buckle up because this one is a doozy. Let's jump in. All right, first things first, the wallpaper. And this is actually the secret to making our dock invisible. Now, keep in mind, we're not actually disabling the dock, we're just making it blend into our wallpaper. And to do that, we need just the right settings and just the right wallpaper. I did a lot of research into this hiding the dock concept, and there are a stack of wallpapers you can find that will essentially make the dock invisible with the right settings set up. But the issue was most of the wallpapers I could find were just color-based backdrops. And so if you're someone who, like me, occasionally likes having something a little less basic as the backdrop, there's really not a lot of options available. And so I thought, well, as long as something is down the bottom of the wallpaper that matches the color of the dock, then we should be able to get creative with the other components of the wallpaper, right? So after some tinkering in Photoshop, I ended up landing on this concept of a mountain, silhouette, and sky backdrop. And I really love the end result. You get this clean photography looking backdrop, but it also hides our dock. And this is a pretty rare combo to find. But I didn't just create one wallpaper, I actually ended up creating 10 mountain sky wallpapers with different mountain silhouette shapes and different sky components, and then a version of each so that you could use them with either the light or dark theme activated. As you can see on screen right now, all of these backdrops will hide the dock as long as you've got the right theme applied. And I've actually got these available dirt cheap over on my website, which I've of course left a link to down in the description below. So if you do download this pack, you'll get 20 files in total. So I'm banking on the fact that there will be at least one wallpaper in the entire pack that you'll love the look of. But if you want to take things to the next level altogether and put your own images behind the silhouettes, then I've got you covered as well. I've actually made the 20 different mountain silhouette images available as PNG files, and you can also buy these over on my website. And if you do, you can then download them to your computer and sub in any image that you like behind the various silhouette images. And then you can even flip the mountain silhouettes to make them even more unique. But just keep in mind, you'll need to have access to software that allows for different layers. Oh, and also worth noting is that for light wallpapers, iOS sometimes changes the color of the dock depending on the colors it detects in the wallpaper. So this might mean you need to do some experimenting to ensure the dock does indeed remain invisible. If you don't want to have to go to all that effort, then again, you can just download the wallpaper pack itself, and all of the wallpapers in this pack have been set up to hide the dock beautifully. So again, I'll leave all of that linked below, but for this video, I'm using the dark version of the backdrop called Mountain Sky 10. If you're downloading the pack directly to your phone, you'll then need to decompress the zip file in the Files application, then tap the wallpaper you want to use, then select the share icon down here, and then finally tap on Save Image. Then we can go into our settings, then to the wallpaper menu, select choose a new wallpaper, and tap on the most recent image. Before you hit set, make sure you set perspective zoom to off and then reposition the wallpaper if need be, so you've got plenty of that mountain silhouette down the bottom to cover up the area of where the dock lives. We'll tap on set, and then the last step is to obviously set your phone's theme accordingly. So for this wallpaper, I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the system dark mode, and then when we come back to our home screen, you'll see that the dock is now completely invisible. Boom. All right, from there, let's chat about the icons. So if you've watched any of my recent Android phone reviews or home screen setup videos, then you'll know that I absolutely love this icon pack called the Drops Icon Pack. It consists of these soft pastel icons that are all really small, and I've kind of gotten obsessed with this look over the past year or so. But that icon pack was discontinued a number of years ago, and there's of course no Drops icon pack or anything similar available for iOS, and so I thought, well then, I better make my own. So taking some design cues from the Drops icon pack, plus a few other places, I went about handcrafting 40 different icons for what I consider are the most used applications that people use on their phone. I'm calling this the Pastel Icon Pack, and it's available for purchase over on my website as well. And the good thing is that I've made a lot of the icons more universal. So there's an email icon, but this could be used for Apple emails or Gmail or any other email client. There's also a Maps icon, which could be used for whichever navigation app you use. Plus, there's a bunch more that fit into this universal category as well. But like I said, I picked what I thought would be the most common applications the average user would be wanting on their home screen. You could of course also use a different icon pack for this setup process, but whichever way you go, you'll need to get the icons onto your phone, whether that be by downloading them directly onto your phone or by downloading them onto your computer first and then transferring them over, whichever method works for you. Now, like the last iOS home screen setup video that I made, we will be doing the same fairly monotonous process of using the Shortcuts application to set up each of our custom icons. But normally when you use icons that don't have a background like the ones I've made, Shortcuts will sub in its own background, and that's obviously not what we want here. Now there is a free shortcut that you can install that kind of works for setting up icons with transparent backgrounds, so I'll leave that linked below, but it hasn't been updated to support the newer iPhone models. And even if you dive into the shortcut and edit the dimensions manually, I still found that I could never get the icons to line up with the background perfectly. So instead, I ended up downloading the very appropriately named application, Transparent App Icons. It does cost a few dollars, but it makes this process so much easier, so it's well worth it if you like the idea of having icons that are transparent. Now, before we start making our transparent icons though, we first need to get our home screen prepped and ready to go. Firstly, we'll want to, of course, clear everything off our home screen. So we'll long press our home screen, tap the little dots down the bottom, and then uncheck all but one of our home screens. We'll then clear any remaining apps from this page by tapping on the minus button and then by selecting Remove from Home Screen. With that done, we're now going to use the Clear Spaces application to create a blank widget on the top of our homepage. The developers have already beta tested and released a new version of Clear Spaces that supports the newest iPhones, so hats off to them for getting it updated so quickly. So with it installed, we'll again long press our home screen, tap the plus icon up the top here, and then scroll until we find the Clear Spaces widget. You might need to scroll all the way to the bottom to where this blank icon is. We'll tap that, swipe over to the medium-sized widget, and then we'll tap on Add Widget. And with nothing else on our home screen, it should automatically move right up to the top. Now, while we're still active in homepage editing mode, we're gonna swipe over to a blank page and take a screenshot. Then we'll hop out of editing mode, tap the Clear Spaces widget up the top here, and then tap on the two spaces here and select the screenshot we just captured. You technically only need to do it for whichever mode you're using, dark or light, but I like to set up both of them just in case. All right, we'll tap on Refresh All Widgets, then come back home, and if all has gone according to plan, that Clear Spaces widget at the top should now be completely invisible. Oh, and by the way, the team at Clear Spaces were really kind and offered me some promo codes to this app, which I'll be releasing over on my Instagram stories in the next week or two. So make sure to follow me over there to have a chance at claiming one of those codes. All right, now we can start creating our transparent icons. So we'll jump into the Transparent App Icons application. We'll tap to add a screenshot and select that same screenshot we just used in the Clear Spaces application. With that done, we can now select the spaces we want our app icons to appear in. So because I have that medium Clear Spaces widget at the top, the first available space will be this far left icon 3 down from the top. So I'll tap on that, then I'll tap on Customize, and we'll get this expanded menu for setting up our icon. So to get our icons into this app, we'll need to first go and find our icon files. Yours might be in the Photos application, but mine are in the Files app, so I'll open that and navigate to the Pastel Icon Pack, which is located under the On My Phone section, and then in this folder I've created called iOS 15 Setup. Then locate the first icon image you'll be setting up, which for me will be the Twitter application, tap on it, and then tap the Share icon and tap Copy. Now we can head back to the transparent icons application, tap this little blue 3-dot icon here and select paste image. Click done and that'll paste your icon onto that selected portion of the background image. So now we can tap this save button. So at this point, you could go into the Shortcuts application to actually set up your first app icon, but I actually think it's more efficient to just go straight through this entire transparent icon creation process first. So I'll tap close, then tap the square next to that space, then tap on customize, then I'll go over to the files application, tap on my next icon of choice, which in this case is the Google Maps application. Then I'll tap on share, then on copy. Then I can go back to the transparent icons application, tap the blue icon here, paste the image in, click done, then tap the save button. You need to obviously repeat this process for as many icons as you're wanting to place on your home screen. And I'm not going to bore you with that entire process in this video, but for me, after completing the process, I have 8 icons ready to now be used in the creation of my app shortcuts. Just obviously keep in mind the position of each of your app icons as they were set up in the transparent app icons application, and keep that same order in your head when you're placing your shortcuts on your home screen. Okay, with our transparent app icon set up, we're now ready to jump into the Shortcuts application and we can start creating our custom shortcuts. It's the exact same monotonous process as the last iOS setup video I made, but as a quick refresher, we tap the plus icon up here, then the open app action. Then we select the Word app and navigate to the first app you're wanting to set up, which for me is the Twitter application. I'll select that, then rename the shortcut to Twitter. Then I'll tap the little settings icon here, then tap on add to home screen. Now we need to tap the icon here, then choose photo, select the exported Twitter icon with the background that we just saved, then tap on choose. To remove the app label, I'll then tap the X here, and then finally I'll tap on add. And so then if we come back home, we'll see our first app icon set up. And if all has gone according to plan, it should blend in beautifully with the background. So good. Now, I'm not going to show you that entire process all over again. If you need to, just rewind and watch as necessary. But once you've set up each of your shortcuts and you've made sure that they're all in the right position, your home screen should look something like this. Now, what's great is that with one of the iOS 14 updates, Apple removed that annoying issue where whenever you tapped a shortcut, it would have to first open up the Shortcuts application before then redirecting you to your app of choice. Now, all we get is a little notification banner at the top, which is much better. But you can actually also remove that banner as well. So to do this, we first need to head into our settings, then to the screen time section, and then tap on See All Activity. If you scroll all the way down, you'll see a section for your notifications, and here you want to find the Shortcuts application. Just keep in mind, it actually might not show up here at first. It didn't initially for me, and so to bring it up, I just literally tapped a whole heap of my app shortcuts over and over and kept rechecking until finally it did show up. But once it does, tap on it and simply uncheck Allow Notifications. Now, you would have thought this is all you need to do, but no, if we tap on one of our app shortcuts, that banner still shows up. So to remove that banner, we're then going to head back into the Shortcuts application and head over to the automation menu. From here, we'll tap on Create Personal Automation. We'll scroll down to where it says App and select that, and then tap on Choose and select one of the apps on your home screen. So in this case, I'll select the Twitter application. We'll tap on Done, make sure Is Opened is selected, which it should be by default, and then we'll tap on Next. Then we want to tap on Add Action, and here we want to find an action that runs in the background and that we don't need to use. So for example, I'm going to search here for number and select the action called number from the calculator application and leave the default number as is. So this is one of those actions that occurs in the background and it has no relevance or impact to me. So it's what I'd call a throwaway action. We'll then hit next and disable the check mark here that says ask before running. We'll tap on don't ask and then tap on done. Now, when we come back home and tap on the Twitter application, there's finally no notification banner. And all of a sudden, we've got a pretty seamless and customized home screen experience. Was it an absolute pain in the backside to set up? 100%. But in all honesty, once you get into the flow of things, I reckon you could absolutely knock this over in less than an hour. And then you get to enjoy customized icons that function nearly as well as the stock icons for as long as you own that phone. Of course, the main caveat here is that we lose notification badges, but this is also an issue over on Android if you're using widgets to set up third-party icons as well. So in all honesty, iOS is getting dangerously close to Android in terms of customization. Okay, the last step of the puzzle is that clean weather widget down the bottom. And I've set this up using the Widget application. And this app is actually free if you're only using one of its widgets on your home screen, which is what I'm doing. But rather than walking you through the entire setup process for this widget, which is also pretty complicated, luckily Widget lets us export and import widget files. And so I've actually exported this file and I've got it linked down below completely for free. With that downloaded, you then open up Widget, navigate to the create page, and then tap on import widget. Select import from files, navigate to the widget file you've downloaded, and that should import it automatically. Then we'll come back to our home screen, long press it and tap the plus icon. Then we can come down to the widget section and add a medium widget to our home screen. You might need to scroll over a bit to find the medium widget section. Tap on allow, and then we need to drag that to the bottom of our home screen, and then we can tap on done. Now we need to tap that widget and select the recently imported widget. Then if this is your first time using Widget, it should automatically ask us if we want to set a transparent background, which we do. So we'll tap the images here and select the screenshot we captured earlier, or if it's too hard to find because of all those new image files, then we can just capture a new one and it'll be the most recent file here. But select that for the relevant mode you're using, then tap the tick up here. Then we want to select the position of our widget, which for this setup is right at the bottom. And with that done, when we come back home, our widget is set up. If you like, you can then go back to the Widget app and over to the create section, and then you can tap on the widget and then tap on edit and make as many changes as you like. And I've got to say, this app is very impressive and has nearly as many functionalities in terms of editing and creating widgets as the KWGT application on Android has. I think the only major limitation here is that there aren't many amazing pre-made widgets, unlike the thousands of beautifully designed widget packs that are available for KWGT on Android. And obviously, we also don't have support on iOS for widgets with unlimited touch points, which does make things pretty restrictive. But back to our weather widget, and whilst it does seem as though Widget should have support for launching different actions when you tap on a widget, at the time of making this video, it wasn't working. So I think it might need to be updated for iOS 15. So in order to make the widget a little more functional, I've set mine up as a stack. This means I have a quick view of my reminders available, as well as some additional shortcuts, one of which toggles an app called OLED X, which emulates an always-on display, and another that opens the Apple Weather application. And having each of these additional widgets and shortcuts available with just a swipe of the one widget is really nice. Once I'm done looking at this info, I just swipe back to the widget to ensure my setup looks super clean once more. But with that done, our home screen setup is complete. And so that's it. It was certainly a very long and arduous process, but I'm hoping that you enjoyed seeing this home screen setup come together. And even more than that, hopefully it's given you some ideas of how you can go about creating your own unique home screen setups going forward. And if you do, tag me with a screenshot on Twitter. I'd love to see what you come up with. Now, as complicated a process as that was, I do want to give Apple some love due to the fact that they let us clear the entire home screen in the first place, without which we wouldn't be able to get a setup nearly as clean as this at all. And whilst this sounds like a no-brainer, the reason I mention it is that you can't currently clear the entire home screen if you use a Google Pixel device. Pretty much every other Android manufacturer does let you clear the entire home screen, so it's not a point over Android, but it is one over Google. And Google, I doubt you're watching this, but if you are, for Pete's sake, please let us remove any and every widget from the Pixel's launcher home screen, because at the moment, in terms of how my final home screen setup looks, I prefer it on iOS, which is bonkers. Aside from that, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to drop a comment down below and I'll do my best to hit you up with a response. But that's it. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will catch you later.